and trust is not a joke. I know some people said that that Mercury is in retrograde, and I know that that has some validity and contribution to technology, but on the other hand, we can give that too much power sometimes as well. But in case you don't know who I am the pretty face behind all of this. Just kidding, as a little joke there. I am the founder and creator of the Animal Wellness Summit. Most of you probably already know who I am, but we're just going to get started here. Dr. Tricia Working is going to be joining us, but she has been having some technology issues, and I was just talking to her on Facebook, and I think now I can see her, so I'm going to be able to bring her on in just a second. So I can see you there, Tricia, or Dr. Tricia. So first and foremost, we're going to jump straight into this. All I want to say is you guys are doing awesome. Out of the over 10,000 people that have registered and signed up for the summit, so far we've only had 132 people that have had issues with getting logged in. And it was due to a coding issue, blah, blah, blah. I just want to at least exemplify this to you guys that there is a saying in life, and I think it's actually Charles Swindoll, I think, was a quote. He was an author, and he said that it's not so much what happens to you, it's how you deal with it. So, pardon me, when stuff like this happens, you just kind of roll with the punches. So I'm going to bring in Dr. Tricia, and I'm going to need to grab some water because I got a bit of a scratchy throat. Pardon me. Wow. Dr. Tricia, are you with us?
I am. Can you hear me?
I can, yeah. It's a little screechy.
How about that?
A little bit better. It sounds like you might have to be open in two windows.
Do you want me to try again? Because I'm just showing one on my screen.
Try that again.
I hear that. Let me try to get back on again.
Okay. All right.
I apologize. And Mercury is retrograde.
Yeah. No worries. So if you just want to jump off and come back on, because we're getting some nasty feedback there. Okay. So if anybody has any questions while Dr. Tricia's coming back on, anything about the summit, about our premium paid options, or if you're Joanne Bodine from Alberta and you're a VIP member and you always make fun of Barney, Quincy, the host of the Animal Wellness Summit, then if you're still here, then that's fine. Just kidding. Joanne's my good friend from out west is here, and we always like to heckle each other. But anyways, any questions about the summit, about the free version, login access, or anything, if you need support, just email us over at support@fullcircleholistichealth.com. And as I was saying earlier, when stuff happens in life that is testing your persistence or persistence and ingenuity, just laugh and chuckle and be like, I see what's happening here. Life's trying to throw me a bit of a curveball, and you just got to kind of roll with the punches, because you can get really frustrated and let it take the better of you, or you can learn from them. So the summit's been going amazing. Today's day 2. All of the presenters that are on today, we've been getting some great reviews. I really want to encourage you, and I'm just going to talk to you as though you are an attendee. If you're watching this and you're not part of the summit yet, then go to animalwellnesssummit.com and you can get logged in for free. And then you have 24-hour viewing access. Now, for those of you who did have some issues with day 1 or you couldn't get in, just know that we will have an encore viewing. We call them encore replay days at the end of the summit. So after day 10, think of it like day 11 and day 12. All 10 days will be fully open. So if you missed anything in day 1 or day 2, you can get back in there. But we always like to encourage anybody and everybody who's in a position to be able to do this. I believe in the universal principle of fair exchange. So if you're in a position to do so, you could choose our premium all access digital pass, which basically enhances your viewing option, where you can maintain access so you don't have to feel stressed out about missing something in the past. And that's great. But if not, then that's okay too. You take what you can get for free when and as you can get it. And then alternatively, we do have some other great VIP options and paid options, which I'll talk about later. We want to get Dr. Tricia on here because let's hope that your audio is sounding a little better now. And you're sideways, Dr. Tricia.
Oh, okay. How's this?
Okay, that is like night and day difference. I don't know what you did there, but good. All right. Well, either way, I am not going to waste any time whatsoever because I had somebody tactfully put on the other chats are like, get on with it already. They're like, we want to hear from Dr. Barney. And I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. Thanks for sharing your opinion. And I think she logged off, but it's all good in the hood. So what I want you guys to do first and foremost is to say hi to Dr. Tricia, number one. Number two, when you're going through here, please do your friends and family members a favor by just, tagging them in a comment and saying, hey, if you feel inspired to do so. You want to make it corny, like, like, tag, and share this post in order to be cool, because you're already cool already. It's just that I know that people oftentimes we hear after the fact, they're like, I really wish they could have gone on that live. I had some questions for that presenter. So Dr. Tricia, without further ado, now that you've been introduced into the doggy do, can you just for a brief second give us an overview of who you are, what you do? And I put in the email that I had sent out to everybody your two presentation and topic titles for this summit, but just give us a brief scenario so that if anybody's out there, a brief recap about who you are, because I have the strong sense that there's a lot of people that are like, who's Dr. Tricia? And there's probably an equal amount, and respectfully, and I know who Dr. Tricia, she's amazing, but just especially for those people who don't know who you are.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me again. I'm so excited to be a part of the summit. And I'm Dr. Tricia Working, originally a Georgia gal, but I'm located in Birmingham. And I am an animal communicator and healer. And I work with spiritually conscious pet parents and families and organizations to show them how to have deeper, more meaningful relationship with their pets. And I do this through the use of the fur agreements, which is a book that I've authored. It was a channel download from Spirit, and it shows how the animals make sacred contracts to come be with us, just like how we create our destinies and we have a life purpose. When they come to us, they do it with the very same situation. They have their own purposes, and then they come to help us. And my topics this time are actually the new book that I'm working on, which are the further agreements. And these are downloads from Spirit, God, Source, however you choose to look at it, that give us insight and inspiration to having the animals in our lives and then translating that information into our own lives with our human families and friends and relationships. And then secondly, the other topic, which is just one of the most fabulous ones I've ever done, is called Proof of Heaven. And I'd never heard of anyone doing a series about that. And Dana Williams invited me to be on. And what happened was, we had this most amazing discussion about life after death, coming back, reincarnation, what really goes on as far as our pets when we do lose them or when we're in the process of losing them. And it was just spectacular. So we're adding this into the summit as well to give people a chance to really kind of start thinking about those things, because eventually all of us, no matter how much we love our pets, we are going to lose them. And one of the most important tenets that I've been given to work with humanity is to really help them understand the transition process, and that the door is really not closing, it's just a different form, and that there is still so much we can do with our treasured pets from the other side. And also there is a channel blessing from the animals that the animal kingdom gave to me, and we're also downloading that, and it will be in the series as well and available for everybody to receive a copy of who would like to.
That's
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay.
I muted myself because when I'm in the background, then when I'm typing or checking on people, then you don't have to hear it. So that's pretty neat. And if you could do me a huge favor, just tilt your phone forward towards you just a little bit more. Yeah, like that. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, just because there's comments. I had one lady, I think her name was Caitlin. She said, can you put the comments or the questions off to the right, but I can't. And it's just nice because then I was doing it yesterday, and then Dr. Barney and the other day to somebody else, and the comments were coming up, and it was like cutting them off here. So I think what I'd like you to do is just share. You did your presentation last year, which is great, in the 2017 in our first summit, and then now you're on round 2 again here. And we affectionately would call you a veteran presenter. It's our second round around. I know that I'm just going to speak candidly from my perspective, and I will say from my perception of growing up and thinking, okay, how I was raised to believe about animals and pets. Would you agree that there is kind of like 2 schools of thought, or maybe not 2, but there's like the believers of like, okay, they get that there is a connection. We have that, emotional, even spiritual, or maybe just energetic connection to our pets and animals. And then there's the other side where people are like, wow, that sounds kind of weird. Like, what do you mean Dr. Tricia channels this stuff? Like, this sounds kind of like, hokey pokey. And I'm saying this because I've talked about it before, but I think it's important to acknowledge it, because I would hate, or not, I'm not going to say it that way. My highest intention really would be that everybody can listen to this and interpret the information and filter it through their own paradigms, or, beliefs or creeds or doctrines, or however, we choose to live our lives in our own values, and find our own way to understand it. Because I've had my own experiences in the past where I'm kind of like, whoa, like somebody said this, and I got, you kind of like can shut down. But can you speak a little bit more about that, and how you have found the best way to not only navigate that yourself, but also to encourage others who are, shall we say, tuned in or plugged in, that have a challenging time with that? Because I feel like that might be a challenge for some people.
Okay, absolutely. I'm hearing an echo. Is it okay on your end?
Yeah, it was minimal, but I think we're good. We're good.
Okay. That's a really good thing, Barney, to talk about. Actually, believe it or not, the book the 4 Agreements has been out 5 years. So I've been teaching these concepts for 5 years, and I have never yet, knock on wood, but run into someone who was on that other end of the spectrum just saying, oh my God, this sounds too woo-woo, as my husband would say. And really the way that I hope that I present information, and that the book is written, and also everybody who requests one will get a copy of the 4 Agreements. But the way it's written is depending on where you are in your life, you can read it and the information will speak to you. If you're what I call mainstream America, where it's just that I love my pet, but they're a dog, or they're a cat, or they're a horse, and I love them a lot, but that's about the size of it. Then if you read the 4 Agreements, you may not agree with everything I say, but it's written in such a manner that it gives you some things to think about, like, oh, well, I never thought about it, but when I'm really upset or down, yeah, they come over to me and they nuzzle me, or they give me big sloppy kisses. And I never thought about that being their way of trying to reach me and help me through what I'm going through. If you're, as we talk about, spiritually conscious and aware, you're going to read the same information, but at a deeper level. So wherever you are on your journey, label or not label, then if you read it, it gives you something to think about. And the one thing that I promise in the book that has held true so far is that I say you will never ever look at your pet or at animals the same way again, because just by reading it, you will have already had an opportunity to go deeper. Even if you don't realize it, you have, and you'll look at them with a little bit different eyes, thinking, oh, maybe they're really trying to do something to help me in my life. And if you are on the other end of the spectrum, which is perfectly fine because there's no judgment in the work that I do, then if you just love your animal a little deeper after reading the book, that's the impact it's going to have for you. And so it doesn't really have to be one way or the other. And in the work I do, I meet people wherever they are, not trying to change them, but trying to just show them the opportunities and invitations that the animals have for us.
Yeah, that's really, really good. I think it certainly is important to not have an either or, and it can be an and I just thought that it would be helpful to acknowledge that. Now, some people are like, well, what the heck are they talking about? I haven't even listened to your presentation yet or read your book, which, by the way, I've tried posting it here, but for whatever reason, I don't know, I probably just have too many things on my, my computer open. But your website, correct me if I'm wrong, is pauseforthoughtinc.com. Is that right?
Right, and it's the number 4.
Yeah, so I'll put it up here in the, let me just hide our names here. There. So you can see that, and I will put it in the comments after. And if I don't, for whatever reason, because with my personality, sometimes it just happens. So remind me if I forget, but I'm trying to post it in here now and it's not showing up. So if they want to, or pardon me, if you guys want to go check out Dr. Tricia's work, go there, check out her site. And did I hear you correctly in saying that people that listen to your presentation in the summit will be able to obtain a copy of your book, like a PDF?
Yes, absolutely. It is in paperback on Amazon and in Kindle, and then I also have copies, but my publisher actually created a digital version that's just like the other copy for me. And just to try to get the word out, I'm offering this as one of the gifts in all of my presentations to everyone that would like to find out about it, as well as a 15-minute power in the pause session where I can help them discover what their fur agreements are with their pets, and then also a copy of the blessing from the animals. So they'll receive 3 gifts.
Wow. Well, that's just in case you guys didn't think that the summit was going to get any better. I will tell you that one of the biggest challenges that we face at the summit is just right now. I mean, I have myself and 2 other team members that help part-time, Jamie and Quinn, for the support desk, but we get inundated not only with technology challenges, especially, in a side note, when Mercury's in retrograde. And some people don't think there's any truth to that, but then they'll be the ones that will like, yeah, I don't know what's going on. My computer just won't work. I'm like, yeah, well, the vibrational frequency on the planet has changed. And then I'm like, do you know how the Bay of Fundy works out in New Brunswick? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, well, that's just the solar and lunar influences are on the planet. And we're 70% water as humans, 70-80% water human beings. So are our pets. And so is the planet. And they're like, oh, like there is actual, it's not like woo-woo out there. There's a lot of scientific reasoning behind it. But I will also say that some people are like, ooh, like Mercury's in retrograde and like nothing's going to happen. And, oh, well, you just can't do anything. I think that's silly and you're giving up your power in that regard. But anyways, so this is really cool. This is amazing because the other side that I wanted to finish off saying was that the technology side, and I got a little carried away there, but I'm gonna have some fun with this because I have some people reach out to me and they're like, how do you deal with it with all this stuff? And I'm like, it's just, I'm built for this. I have the patience, the perseverance, and yeah, sometimes it gets the better of me, but I love it. I love a good challenge, but don't intentionally test me, especially if Joanne's on here, because I was like, fun. But the last thing was we get inundated with that, but more so questions. People want to connect with the presenters, and they have more questions. And we had Brent Atwater on the other 2 or 3 days ago, and she's a hoot. And people were just asking. They were like, they messaging. Like I replied to about 22 messages in Facebook about people asking. Well, they didn't get on the call. They had some questions. So I think, and this is important because if you're watching and this is resonate with you, just like Monique's comment, I'm going to see if I can pull it up here in a second. so you guys can see it. But if you can see Monique Brignoni's comment here, this is really cool. And I encourage you to connect with Dr. Tricia because A, it's private, B, it's free, and C, you can get the book and read through it. And I think that it's really, really cool. So thank you for doing that. We don't ask you guys as presenters to do that, but we certainly are grateful for it because, you know, we're in this together. We're a community, and your work is amazing, but it's not going to do anything if more people don't hear about it. I think you do is amazing, but if you don't present and people don't show up, then I can have this great idea, but nothing's going to happen. And then if people don't show up, then, you know, lives and pets and animals are going to get changed, right?
Right. Another thing I wanted to mention, Barney, two other free options that anyone in the summit can have is if they will connect with me on Facebook. I have a group, a private group called the Fur Agreements, and they can join that, get any questions answered, and participate. And then secondly, the second Monday of every month, I host and have been doing for about 4 years what I call Unipause Healing, and it's topics and information about the animals and about yourself and our connection, and both of those are free. So I would love to invite anybody to just drop a note, and we'll put you on the list and invite you.
Okay, cool. And when you say drop a note, they go search on Facebook for the Fur Agreement.
Yeah, just right. They can just look at me and PM me, or they can, if they go to my website, they can send a message, or my email, just send me an email message either way and let me know that they're interested, and we'll catch up with them.
Cool. Well, let's pull this up. This is from Monique. Now, I know this is going to cover our face, so the lady Caitlin, if you're on here, I apologize. I can't do anything about it. But just look at this for a second. This is cool. Dr. Tricia, love your work and your presentation. Here, I'll go up a little higher. The presentation was very synchronistic, gave me many validations. Thanks. My cat Shen is not well, and I'm doing my best to be in listening, but sometimes I worry that I'm doing enough. I am learning so much from this journey. I'm blessed to have him in my life. Vets don't know what he has. Do you have any insights about what he has or more about our agreements? I can't wait to read your book. Does that?
Oh, thank you. Yes, absolutely. Now, I will say I am not a medical intuitive. That's just something that I've never been drawn to. So I can't tell you, oh, it's, you know, a gastritis or whatever. But what I can say, and I went over it in the presentation, but this is a wonderful opportunity to really bring this message home to all of us. When we're faced with a health crisis or the idea of transition, what happens is we immediately go into that diagnosis mode, and we're like, oh no, they've got cancer, or, you know, they've got diabetes, and I'm not going to be able to have them long. And what happens is energetically, just like you were talking, then we send out that energy and that fear to our pet. They're bonded to us, and then they receive the energy and react to it. In many cases, they try very hard to take the energy from us and the fear, and then that can give them even further issues. So what you can say, and you know, I am Christian, but this doesn't have to be a Christian tenet. But how, if you remember how when Jesus was here, all he did was either touch someone and say it is done, or, you know, when somebody touched the hem of his garment and they believed. And in healing now, what we are being asked to do is to literally be love, first of all. And if you stay in the energy of the love you have for your pet, you can be aware that there is a health challenge or a potential crisis. But if you stay in the energy of that love for them, rather than in the diagnosis and worrying about it and fretting about it, and then within yourself, you can simply for them, basically, and whatever words make sense to you, but just say, healing is created, or healing space is created for you. And what that does you're not trying to take control and say you've got to be healed from this particular thing, but what you're allowing to happen is energetically for the healing energy to go to your pet and to be dispersed and utilized in the highest and best manner that will help them, even if we may not see it or quite understand it. And that's what we're being asked to do. We're no longer really in the phase of saying, oh, I want them healed from cancer. If we just see them, and also ourselves whenever we have an issue, if we will begin to see ourselves as, I've created healing energy or a healing space for this, and then just say it is done and let it go. And that is the very best thing you can do for your baby. As Barney was talking, I was actually creating healing energy for him as well, or her, and that energy will stay with your baby as long as is necessary. And then you can again add to it and enhance it yourself with your own connection to them.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty neat. I think so. I think that was great in response to Monique's question, and I know that I should. Whoops! I realize I'm not on the screen anymore. Here I am. I realize that that may not give the answer in regards to the insights about what he has or any more of our agreements. I would encourage you to, and maybe Dr. Trish, I don't know if you know anybody. So you don't do that? Do you refer out to somebody? I know that there's a couple. I think there's two presenters. I know Brent Atwater is one. I don't know if she's in practice, so to speak. Like if you can just call her up and say, hey, can you do a reading for me or whatever? Or can you give me some insight? But do you do that or?
Yes, I do. I refer out different things to different friends and colleagues so that I can stick with what I do. And so if she will connect with me and just email me, I will refer her to my contact, Samadhi Ruiz, who is just both a human and an animal medical intuitive.
Cool.
Well, but I'll be glad to do that. And on the fur agreement part, right now, the whole agreement is revolving around love and healing. And those are the two primary and the first two agreements. So if she wants to connect with me, I can go into that further with her. But that's what's going on for her now with her cat, or with her baby.
And no pun intended when you say go further into that, right?
No, really. I wasn't even thinking about that.
Oh, hey, look at we have Brent herself is on here. This is great.
Hey, Brent.
Well, just hang on a second. I'll pull this up real quick. So Pat was just saying, I think it's wonderful that the presenters are willing to give free gifts, et cetera, to anyone who's interested. This is a thing. We do this for free. Believe it or not, I know that everybody has their ability to choose their own experience, but we've had people get angry and upset. They're like, oh, this is just a sales tactic. You do this for free and then we have to buy it. And I'm like, well, no, you don't. It's like, here's a glass of water if you want to drink it for free, but if you want the wine, then you got to pay for it. And but we do this free because the intention, and I want to restate this because of those of you who are watching, before I bring Brent's comment up here, is that this summit exists because of a vision that I was given. Pardon me, I'm going to turn this off. Over 8 years ago, and it was my life purpose and mission and vision is to help educate, inspire, and educate, empower, and reach more people around the world to become better in touch and in tune with the plant and animal kingdom. And so I didn't really know what it really meant at the beginning, and I'm not an animal expert myself, but have a fair bit of animal experience with my pets and animals. But what I am really great at is being able to connect with great people like Dr. Tricia and Brent Atwater and a whole bunch of all the other presenters, and we're just getting started. So Pat, I just left your comment up here because I wanted to just also drop a little sneak peek on something that's coming in 2019. We've had people asking us for 2 years about doing a live event because it's great to do these online things, but we are actually going to be doing a live 2-day. It's going to be called AWS Live, and that's all the details I'm going to share right now, but more is coming. So some of the presenters are obviously going to be invited to come along, and we're going to have a 2-day, you could call it like a workshop or a conference. And it's gonna be really cool because we find that you get into the stuff, right, Dr. Tricia, and we get asked questions and there's comments and stuff comes in through the email and interweb world, and then it's just not enough. And so I think that the community, as in the Animal Wellness Summit community, is really growing. And so this is really cool. And I was saying all of this, I hope that this is resonant with what was her name again? Monique was sharing earlier about that if I don't have the answer, we put it out to the presenters, and the presenters maybe don't have that skill or knowledge base, but they can find somebody who does. And that's why together, I like to have this saying too, and I'm going to bring up Brent's comment, is that it's not about you, it's not about me, it's not about any of us, it's about all of us. And so together, we're in this together. So as Brent says, you can say, from the love in my heart, I send you my life force energy to use as you do choose. That way the pet chooses their own path as to the healing. And I do look inside pet's body and determine their diagnosis. So that's good, Brent. So you can talk to Monique, talk to Dr. Tricia, get your free consultation and or reach out to Brent, or you can do both. And it's just great because we have some awesome options as a team here as the Animal Wellness Summit.
Yes. Let me bring up another point that you just kind of touched on.
Sure.
And what it is that animals choose their path completely. So that means, just like with Monique's cat having the health issue that's going on, he is choosing to have that one for his own higher learning and understanding, but two, also to be able to reach her in some way. And the animals mirror basically what's going on with us. And so we've got to learn to look and see, well, maybe if there's some jealousy, like I mentioned in the seminar, I got jealous over Rick giving so much attention to Angel, one of our little terriers, and yet she was then being jealous of the attention I was giving Thor. And so when I made the connection between my own jealousy and then hers acting up, then the whole situation was able to calm down. But the animals, they choose to come in with each person, and they also choose the manner of their own death. And I know that is one of the hardest topics and is a discussion in and of itself. But just like us, the animals, especially those who come into, like the baby seals who get clubbed and the dog fight animals and things, when they are in these horrific situations, they are choosing, because they are pure soul and pure divine love, then they are choosing these conditions to be a part of to help humanity. And sometimes there are those of us that make a choice to move further and help. Sometimes people are just like, well, no, that's not for me. But because they are of a higher spiritual vibration than we are, because we're human and we're dense and we've got a lot of stereotypes that we've been taught, the animals come in and serve as invitations to the lessons. And so that's just something I did want to throw out there to help people begin to play with that concept in their own mind, because it is a hard one to totally take in.
Yeah, that's really good. And this is great because what you're saying is very resonant, obviously, with, well, not obviously, but I mean, just resonant in alignment with what Brent said. Would you agree with that as well, based on your experience? Not to say that, and if you can tilt your phone forward a little bit more again, that'd be it's just saying that you're not allowed to place your own will on the pet's karmic path. It's a pet's choice to how to use the energy. And then this part, which she said about to teach animal, I think this is probably something that some people probably will have a challenge with. I agree, because I'll speak to that just briefly with our little Lucy dog who has transitioned, and our little girls unknowingly have been talking to her more lately. or just Lucy's been giving them signs, whatever. But basically, she got sick, and she took off. She ran away when we went to go clean out her room, and never came back. And we thought somebody picked her up or something happened, but we're pretty sure that she just was feeling unwell and she went away to go transition and move on. And so when I left this comment up here, and with what you were saying earlier, Dr. Tricia, that it is about that they know 24 to 48 hours. And I remember the 2 days before, Lucy was acting just off, a little off. And I thought, well, what's going on? Like, and I was absorbed in my own, experience in life, and didn't really pay attention to a whole lot. And I think, as she was saying there, that to teach us those lessons. And from my experience, the challenge is that it's getting beyond your own conditioning and programming, which is challenging because it depends on your beliefs, it depends on your upbringing, it depends on your ability and willingness to set your own beliefs and intentions or thoughts and preconceived notions or ideas aside for a second to just temporarily think, well, maybe this is true. But as you were talking and saying that it's common where those of us who feel that connection with our pets and animals, and that, and you try to explain it to somebody who maybe doesn't really understand, then that's when you start to think, or they think that we're a little bit woo or a little bit crazy. But I know that I've had conversations with people, friends of mine, and they're just kind of like a little bit weirded out, but then they'll be explaining a month later a situation that happened. I'm like, well, that's, you're just trying to make sense of what you already know to be true. It's just, you're not quite sure because you're not sure you believe it, but they have that knowing, right?
Oh, absolutely. And the thing that we have to remember too, it kind of works both ways. Ultimately, we're being asked to put them first ahead of us and to make sure that we understand when they're sick and when they're transitioning. We make it be about us because that's all we know how to do, and we're in our fear and loss and the grief over potentially losing or the sickness. And the thing is, we've got to be there to support them. And sometimes because of what you were just saying about the beliefs and what we're raised with, then sometimes we may actually interfere with what would have been their own choice and get them medical care or go ahead and release them. And what we're being asked to do is to try to connect with our pets at all times, see what it is they want to do, and then try to merge that with us as the guardians and the parents into now what is best. If I live on a busy street and my animal wants to run out and play, then unless I can create a safe environment, hopefully I would not let them go out just because they're asking to go out. But I had an amazing cat named Brutus who developed this cancer of the mouth, and it took over his whole left side of his face. And when I checked in with him, he did not want any kind of support except for pain relief. And he lived literally in a good life 8 years after the diagnosis. And even my vet said, and that he wished he had taken an x-ray to start with, because at one point it totally dissolved. Then it came back. Then it was like something was encasing it so that it would not get any bigger. And all the time, I would be wanting to help or do something, but I really felt that I had to respect his wishes, and he was able to live himself in a good way and eat and play and cuddle for 8 years with this terrible cancer growing inside of him. So it is a balance, but we do have to learn. Hopefully, we're being asked to connect with them and find out what it is they want. And like you were saying about your baby girl, a lot of times what will happen is both cats and dogs, they will leave when it's their time because they do not want to put us through the trauma of having to watch what would happen, sometimes they will stay because it's important for you to go through that with them. And I was lucky enough, it's happened once in my life, and he's come back just a year ago. But one of my babies actually, as he was transitioning and he was in my arms, I saw his soul leave his body and move up to heaven. And I was just like, if I didn't believe before now, I've got to believe. And I've actually had over 25 of my animals reincarnate back to me in this lifetime. So it is amazing when we allow spirit to take over and to walk beside and not on top of what can happen.
Pardon me. Yeah, that's with what you were sharing about just their experience. I think this is where I was going to pull this comment up with Angeline said this, that can so relate to what you said. The vet told me that my dog had weeks or months to live. I freaked out, but then realized her words meant nothing, as in the vet, and my dog has her own path and nothing changes my love for her moment to moment.
Yes, and also everybody, if you don't already know, it's important to understand too, and you had touched on it, Barney, is they know when it's their time. And sometimes, like us, they may have several potential points of leaving, and then something shifts within us or within them. But when it is finally time, even earlier than 48 hours, especially if it's going to be a long, drawn-out disease like cancer can be at times, they will know and start preparing their bodies. You'll see them like kind of just glazing off into space and like they're just not there. And what happens is their spirits start moving into the other side to check it out, to feel the energy, to connect with others from the family or other lifetimes to help them make this journey. And they will continue to do that up until it is time to cross over. And so by the time it's really time, it's not like it's their whole spirit there with us. There's an essence left, but most of the work has already been done. And when we get upset and we see some of the what they call little deaths or spasms that can happen, then that is the body itself just reacting to the energy. It's not their spirit being in pain and torment. And I think that's important for people to understand, because it's heartbreaking. You don't know what to do when you're holding, but to hold them and they're having these spasms and convulsions. So know that their spirit is primarily already there, and this is just the last little bit. And then once this is over, becomes the time for us to start processing.
Yeah, that I was reading some of the comments here because now I can see them. Sometimes it's challenging when I'm trying to moderate and then the questions don't come in at the right time. But this one, I wanted to pull this up here from Roxanne because there's a couple questions. I wanted to, let's jump in. Let's just answer a couple of these questions because I want to make sure those of you get rewarded for joining on live, which, by the way, as Dr. Tricia, can you see her question there, Roxanne?
No, I can't see anything but you.
Okay, so then you can only see the important stuff, right?
Right.
Okay, so every day from Summit, days 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, unless something happens or if I notify you, we'll be here live. I will have to send a unique link. I will do my best to send it out before 30 minutes or 20 minutes or 45 minutes before. But just know that you can join on. So if you miss some of your questions, you can jump on the next one. But so Roxanne's asking, do they also know, do they also know though when it's us that makes that decision for them?
Yes, and because the way I was trained and believe myself fundamentally, we are co-creators along with spirit, as are they. And so they knew when they came in that these things were going to happen. we know inside our souls, but we don't always remember it. That's why it's called waking up, waking up to our spiritual journey. And so if, because maybe you don't feel that you can actually handle going through, I mean, a friend of mine, I had to go with them to let their little dog transition, and I had to go through the whole process because they couldn't handle it. And that's what I do. I go through that. And so whatever it is in your spirit, as long as you check it, and then you let them know and you talk to them about this, then they already knew that y'all were going to be having these conversations, but they also have a human aspect, just like we do, and just like little kids, where they might want what they want when they want it. It is important too, though, that I would recommend to everybody to learn that sometimes when it's time for them to transition, excuse me, they don't want to be held and loved on. They just want to kind of be in their little bed or whatever, so that they can process things. And it's important for us to allow that to happen. And then if we are feeling that need to cuddle or to hold, go to them and ask them, can I love on you and spend some time with you right now, and try to pay attention, but understand that just like all of us, we go through this, and our animals go through this in a separate and contained way. And so it's, again, I can't stress enough that it's their journey, and we're there to support them. But yes, they do know that this is happening, and they don't judge us. All they ever do is love us and are grateful for all the time that we spend. Even when we make mistakes in what we're doing, they still understand. And that's the beauty, and that is the only unconditional love, aside, from spirit, that we have, because we can't do that to each other. We just don't have that capability yet.
Yeah, well, Roxanne said in response, just saying, I felt she knew. She gave me a lovely memory moments before, lovely memory moment days, a couple days beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Jody, Jody Tissone, I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. I'm glad I was able to help you. She had some login issues, but we got her squared away. And she said, I wish I had known all this before Scout passed, ... But then she corrected herself and said transitioned. But I think that's great, just because it is. It's just, I said this with Brent when I was talking to Brent the other, wow, I realized I'm off the screen again. That when I talked to Brent and even Dr. Barney Siegel, just about the knowing, and that it's important to take that of which what we're discussing that resonates with you, that works and serves. And if you're not really sure, then you can pray on it, meditate on it, journal about it, whatever you got to do to have it make sense. Because I've had that experience in the past where I'm kind of like, I don't know, like I think this kind of makes sense, but I'm not really sure. And then it's more common to rationalize it and run it through the left brain analytical, basic your left brain, right? And it's got to analyze things. And maybe this is just the predominance about how my brain functions. But I have the sense that other people will be feeling this too. And I think it's really good to have some sense of understanding and common ground. And I'm seeing that here through the comments. And I think that you guys all agree. So it's pretty cool. And this one, yeah, I actually want to pull this up. This is the last couple questions here, and then we're probably going to potentially wrap things up here. You never know how long things like this can go. But where was Jody's comment here? 1 second. Now it's going to cover our faces up, so I'll have to go up a little bit higher. But yes, so Jody was just saying that my cat, 18-year-old cat Scout, transitioned on July 23rd unexpectedly. I literally almost died, making myself crazy trying to track down what went wrong with her and what I did, what I and the vets could have done differently. Finally, last week on 11/11, which I think is interesting. She told me that she's sending tons of signs, among the other things, to stop blaming Dr. Lee, and it really gave me a sense of peace. And now I'm seeing the big picture much clearer. And that's exactly what I'm picking up. It's just good to have some commonality and or how can I say, alignment with what it is that you're sharing and with what Brett was sharing and some of the other presenters in their own way. And I think that's what's unique about what it is we do here at the Animal Wellness Summit, because it's just bringing people who have great things to share, like yourself, with people who care, like all of you watching. And that's what makes this all kind of fun.
Well, absolutely, Barney. I want to just mention too that when you have an insight, even after the fact, like she was mentioning, you can talk to your pet and connect with them on the other side. And let's just say you're going along through your day and all of a sudden they pop into your mind. That is actually them trying to connect to you. And you can do the same thing. You can sit down and get comfortable and get into a prayerful state, and you can call on to them and talk to them and say, I really didn't get it. I get it now. Thank you for knowing and understanding. And I'm better. So we can call on them anytime. They don't have to leave us forever. And in certain cases, they can come back to us to do even further work.
No, that's great. That's great. And this one, and thank Jody, just a quick side note, I'm going to pat myself on the shoulder. Perfect pronunciation. I pronunciated her name correctly. And Brent was just saying that a memory moment is a gift from your pet before the transition, and that all pets provide memory moments about 2 weeks or around up to 2 weeks prior to their passing. Now this
it's 18 hours
from the transition. Yes, Jody, I did toot my own horn there for a second. So this one from Lorianne, would they prefer us to let them transition naturally?
Well, that's what we have to ask, okay? And actually, I have developed a series of conversations on different topics to help us begin to understand them. And one of them is on the transition process. And there are about 15 different questions, but one of the key ones is you ask them, do you want me to be there? Do you want to transition naturally? Do you want any medical or spiritual support? And then you get really specific, and you just have to understand that they will let you know what is best for them. And if you aren't sure how to do it, then, connect with somebody like me, and we can help guide you through the process, whether it takes days, weeks, months, whatever. But you always do want to ask them, what do they want? And also, it's become a cliche over the years, but it is so true. If you don't know what to do, or if it's time, look into their eyes and connect with them, because they will let you know when it's time. And they'll also let you know when it's not time. And then that is an opportunity and an invitation for, some of us who might be struggling with, well, I don't want to see them in pain. I don't want to see them struggle any longer. But maybe that's important for you to go through with them also, so that you can learn how to deal with things like that on a different level. So it's always important to connect with them and talk to them about whatever's going on. And they understand English. Let me tell you, they totally understand English. They do think themselves and connect in pictures, but they understand what we're saying and doing. And so it's important for us to really learn to talk to them like we're talking now with each other, and they will get it, and they can let you know that they got it as well.
Yeah, I left this up comment from Brent that all you need to do is ask your pet to talk to you, to talk with you there with you 24/7, 365. And it reminds me of that, I don't know if it's a poem or a quote, or just somebody just told me this analogy, that thinking that we're not you know, the saying with God is omniscient, omnipresent, and what's the other one?
Omnipotent.
Omnipotent, right? Is all things everywhere all the time. is seeing that God is outside of us, or our source or connection, is the same thing as a drop of water that gets splashed out of the ocean thinks that they're any different, that it's any different than the giant ocean that it just came from, it goes back to. And that little metaphor was just like when a wave crashes and the drop gets separated and then goes out and then drops back in. The story was that's the metaphor with life, for humans and for our animals and pets. And I think what's really encouraging, really, as the last few things here was we kind of coming for the landing here, is that it's just having a better understanding of that which I believe, on many levels, or on a deeper level, a lot of us intuitively know, or we know that to be true. We're just not really sure, or that we trust it. As you said, if you're not really sure, then you can look in to your pets and animals' eyes and connect with them. And I just think that it's too often that the power has been given to other people, or educational, you know, systems or whatever. And I wouldn't say that pick on vets or anybody else or doctors or anything, because I don't believe in that. I think they all serve a purpose for sure. But I just think it's encouraging, because the more that you know and can feel that better, connection is really helpful. And last thing, one of the last things was, Kelly was asking, and by the way, Kelly, she had your comment here. She essentially said that she lost her soul dog, and that guilt is a hard thing, was missing her badly, but was just feeling really frustrated with the whole scenario, feeling like she didn't do enough, or that she was frustrated with the vet. And then just that she remembers the final kiss on the nose before she transitioned. And then she asked, then the next time further up was, what is a memory moment? Because I think I understand it, but I'd love to hear your explanation of it.
Okay, and I haven't heard that term before, but the way I look at it is, for example, just when my baby Trueheart let me see his soul transition, but it's like a final gift, or a final series of gifts, so that they're interspersed, especially if we see them through to the end and we're right there, that these memory moments, as you say, they are literally the last kiss, or the last heartbeat, which I've felt many times, or going and getting ice cream at McDonald's or something. But there are those series of moments that are interspersed within the process, so that once you can begin to heal, these will stand in the forefront of your mind, and that those heartbreaking moments, like, again, can be the last heartbeat or the last breath or a little spasm, that those will tend to go further back in your memory, and they will begin not to have that heartbreaking charge that they have as we're going through it with them. And so they're like final gifts of love to us.
Oops. And I can't.
I lost you. Can you hear me? Oh, okay. I wanted to let you know too, Barney, anybody that doesn't have their questions answered, if they would either connect with you or drop me an email, I would be glad to connect with them and try to answer any that do come back up. And I really, really appreciate the opportunity to have connected and have people spend time and really learn about the fur agreements and the sacred contracts, because they really, really are sacred contracts.
Well, I think Dr. Tricia just let herself out of the call of our Facebook Live. You could see she just was talking. She went quiet. So hopefully Dr. Tricia can come back on here. But what she was saying, I think, was that she'd be happy to connect with you guys if you have questions. It's pretty cool. I'm just going to say this. There's some of you that are going to watch this and think, wow, this seems kind of out there. And there's some of you out there being like, yeah, this is really great because I'm getting some affirmations and or connection with, or confirmation rather, and just having some encouragement knowing that, oh, here she is, knowing that what Dr. Tricia is sharing is true and resonant. So you made a quick exit there.
And something happened with the phone again, so.
I'm glad to see it wasn't just me, because I tried to unmute myself and I couldn't unmute myself.
No.
So, yeah. So you were saying, did you share your email, or do you want to pop it in the comments, or just, I'll let you choose to do that however you wish. For those that want to connect with you, that you can put it, but you can put it, like, mention it now, but then also put it in the comments so people have it directly.
Okay, sure. It's Dr. Tricia Working at yahoo.com, and it's DrTriciaWorking at yahoo.com, and I will be glad to connect with you.
Cool. Well, this has been great, Dr. Tricia. Thank you so much. And Kelly says thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And yes, there is some other other comments that we didn't get to, but as I said before, we do our best, and I am demonstrating to, I think, predominantly majority of you on here who are women and better at multitasking than the gentlemen are. I do my best, and that's why I have my other two assistant team members are women, because I know they're better in details than I am. So, well, I'm pretty good with them, but I can't manage them all by myself. So I'm not too heavy in my ego that I can't ask for help, especially from a good female. So, but with all kidding aside, guys, this has been great. This has been fun. And I just want to mention before we wrap things up here that you can go ahead and connect with Dr. Tricia. And Brent is another great resource that has been commenting on here as well. And the cool part is that we all work together as a team. And I also just want to mention that for those of you that you're going through free, just to recap that every day you get your 24-hour access, and don't feel stressed out. You can choose the premium all access digital pass at just $57. Our highest intention is that if you feel that there's been some great value in the Animal Wellness Summit, which we know that there is, it's not a sales pitch or a switch, a bait and switch approach, but we really feel strongly towards the compensation, the universal principle of fair compensation, in the sense that your support to us helps us to continue to keep offering this for free, number one. Number two, when you pay for something, you pay more attention. We found that, and we know that to be true. And number three, the presenters are doing such a great job giving so much to you that if it's in you to feel like you can, then that would be great. And if not, then no problem. You take what you can get for free, and this is really cool. But I just want to invite you, as my kind of closing comments here today with Dr. Tricia on here with us, is that we have developed a membership community where there's two different options, and you can find them on our website. You can go see pre-summit specials on there. There's a video explainer of me going through all the options. I'm not going to bore you with my explanation here, but really you can do the short term where it's $57 for the access, so that what you lose when you like on day 4, if you missed Dr. Tricia's presentation on day 1, well, then you can go back and watch it. So it gives you that short-term access during the summit, and then you can, for a limited time, we have digital downloads and the flash drives during the summit. As soon as it's done, or a couple of days after, that option goes away, and then we go into the mode of welcoming people into our VIP and Platinum membership community, where we have a Facebook group, and we do weekly coaching calls that are like this, and as well, there's going to be coming up monthly mini masterclasses, which I know that Dr. Tricia and Brent, as an example, who's also on here as a presenter, is going to be one of the featured presenters, where we're going to take a topic. And I think that Dr. Tricia and Brent, do you guys know each other?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Well, I feel like you both are going to connect really well. But there'll be a topic that is member driven, meaning the VIPs get to choose, like, dealing with pet loss, or how to understand pain and disease and helping them through the transition. And then it's going to be a mini focused lesson of the month. So you're getting some very specific, timely, relevant information, instead of just having access to all of our great content, which you get access to as well. So anyways, we're just really getting started with this whole community and building what we're doing. And the best compliment that you can give us is a word of mouth referral that comes from the heart, in the sense that if you think that there's some great value here, then share with your friends, your clients, your team, your family members, your coworkers, whoever. And if you're interested in the AWS Live, or if you'd be interested in attending a 2-day live conference or event in Canada, it's going to be in Canada. So if you're in the US, you're going to have to go and get your passport.
Oh my God.
But it's lots of fun. It's beautiful up here. I come down to the States all the time, so you guys are going to have to come up here if you are from the US. And for those of you in the UK and Australia and Japan, believe it or not, there's people in 17 different countries that are attending this summit. So it's pretty cool. So anyway, so that's my little spiel for you right at the end. And I'll put the link to the paid options page if it resonates with you. I encourage you to move forward with that. And Joanne, Joanne, I just have to say I love you. You're hilarious. Even though we always like to banter back and forth between each other. But Joanne is a VIP member, and those of you who are in the Young Living community, we have 4 summits that we did for the Young Living community in the essential oil world. And so there's a membership called Platinum that you get access to everything in the Animal Wellness Summit and the Young Living one. But it's really cool. And Joanne, I will connect with you after to help you, because she was asking about that. So Margaret says this is super informative, or that, pardon me, this was so informative. And Jesse was asking, I want to make sure that I don't miss the last ones, was asking, how do we connect with Dr. Tricia for 15 minutes? So do they email you then? Is that best?
They can email me or go to the website where you can then also get the free gifts. So either way, it will get to me.
Okay. So you can either email, and the email is Dr. Dr.
Yeah, Tricia Working at yahoo.com. TRICIA Working.
And is it Dr. Dot?
Yeah, Dr. Dot. Right.
Okay, so we'll put it with Dr. Tricia. We'll put it in the comments so that you guys have it. So okay. That answers your question. And thank you, Monique. I think I'm awesome too. Just make sure you tell my wife, because sometimes she doesn't think so. Just kidding, just kidding. I love my wife. She is expecting baby number 4 right now, and we have 3 little beautiful girls, and number 4 coming. And I sometimes wonder, I'm like, what the heck are we doing? They're ages 4, 2.5, almost 3, and a year. They're basically 18, 19 months apart.
Wow.
I just feel grateful. Like, Monique, thank you for sharing that. But I just want to let you guys know that I feel very grateful and blessed to feel grounded and connected and clear on my mission and vision and purpose as a human being. And I just like, it's a Sunday, right? I mean, there's a lot of other things that I could be doing and choose to do with my time, but I wanted to spend this time with you. And it's great because I am able to work from home and support my family and connect with cool people like Dr. Tricia, and then be able to have the rest of you guys jump on here as well. It's pretty awesome. And Annie, yes, we will put Dr. Tricia's email up here, and everybody else is just saying thank you. This is awesome. And no, I am not Catholic, but I will tell you this just as a funny little kind of side note, is that my wife came from a family of 6, and I came from a family of 3. I was the youngest, or I guess technically I still am the youngest. I think 4 is going to be our number, so I am hoping and praying for a little boy. I would love to have a son, but if I'm not meant to father a son, then that's fine. I will be more than happy with my girls. But I feel very grateful. But I also think that with a lot of our friends that have had issues with getting pregnant, and I have my opinions on that, but I mean, we don't have to try very hard at all, and my wife gets pregnant, and that kind of starts to slow things down a little bit. And I don't really know why I'm telling you this, other than the fact that I'm a lot like you. You know, I years ago just wanted to learn more about the things in the essential oil world. We happen to be part of the Young Living community. Pardon me. To turn that thing off. And so I created the summit to serve myself and my team, but also everybody else in Young Living. Now it's grown that between both of the events, there's been over 78,000 people 83,000 people that have attended both of the summits in the last 4 years. Wow. And so it's been great for both the Young Living and the Animal Wellness Summit community. So, but yes, Dr. Tricia, any last closing words of wisdom like you would like to share with us beyond that which you've shared with us already today?
I would like for everybody to just know in their hearts, without stretching anything, but to just know how deeply your pet or pets love you, that they're here for you, to support you, to guide you, to walk beside you, and to have you be able to turn to them. There's an open invitation at all times, in all ways. It's whenever and whatever and however you're ready to connect with them. But just know that the love of God is flowing through them to you in its highest and best manner. And I want to thank everybody for the questions, and you, Barney, for letting me come back again, and for, you know, what you're doing, because this is really a worldwide opportunity, and it's got the ability to grow so much bigger. And I'm really grateful to be a part of the community.
Well, you're more than welcome. Together, as I say, we're in this together. So I'm gratitude to everybody around. As I like to say in closing, stay blessed, stay grateful, stay humble, and stay hungry to keep on growing, because life is for learning, and we're all students in the school of life. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you in the next call tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Something happens with Mercury in retrograde, but I'm not going to give my power away to that. We'll see you tomorrow. And get to day 2 is still up for those of you who are on the free version. For those of you who decide you want to upgrade, I'll put the link there for you, and then you don't have to stress out about missing out now that it's coming up to the week. And you know, if you're working during the day and you miss something, then you don't have to get stressed out about it. But we will have 2 encore days at the end for just 48 hours, where you can go, and all 10 days will be open. It's just, right, it's almost impossible to watch all of them in the 2 days, so you got to pick your favorite one. So thanks, Dr. Tricia. I'll let you get back to all your animals in there. I could see them.
All right. Thank you so much. Y'all have a good day.
Enjoy the rest
Bye.
of your Bye-bye.